please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Okay, the mid-cap market is really on a tear today. 329 points up on that index, and there are lots of stocks, as we keep highlighting, lots of stocks moving around. Look at Tata Global, for instance, a 6% up move on that stock taking place today. Strides is on the up move. Glenmark, quite a few of these pharma stocks actually have had a decent session as well. Good time to get you some ideas for the last half an hour. These are, of course, reverse trades for Monday. Let's go to our technical experts then. Prakash, I'll come to you, your picks, and also if I can throw in one additional question. Ashok Leyland, we were just discussing it with our technical fundamental experts as well. There's good news coming in. The stock has recovered very dramatically from the lows when the whole confusion on overloading norms happened. So just a word on the levels there, and of course any other ideas.
In fact, Ashok Leyland is the pick.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah, Ashok Leyland certainly is looking good. I like the move that we have seen from 100 zone, then a kind of 5 or 6 weeks of consolidation. And again, the move has started last week. I think it's certainly looking good. The targets that I have in the vicinity of 138 zones. Is it stopping there? No. I think it's going even beyond 140 zones. For BTST trade, Ashok Leyland certainly is looking good. Have a stop below 120 and trade long. I also like Apollo Tyres. That looks good. Looks like it's heading up. Good move here. Target on the upside in the vicinity of 247 to 250. Stop below 238.
Okay, two stocks from the auto space, Ashok Leyland and Apollo Tyres. Well, Rahul Mohindar is also with us. He'll tell us what to buy or sell today for a reverse trade on Monday. Rahul, hi, afternoon. It's a tricky space to be in, right? I mean, you don't know what could come out from that meeting tomorrow. But nevertheless, what are the stocks that you're looking at?
Good afternoon again. I think what's important to note is we've got several stocks which are sitting on the averages. For example, Ultratech Cement had a good correction last 5 or 6 sessions. We've rested at the 200-day moving average, and I think we're good for another bounce up. So clearly, if you're looking at very short term, in other words, BTST 4300 to 4320 would be my target on Ultratech Cement. I'd look at 4100 as a stop loss here. Another one is pharma. Of course, pharma has been really outperforming. I continue to like several names there, but to add one more to the list, Aurobindo Pharma is what I'd pick. 860 is where I see it moving to. I'd keep a stop loss of 770 here.
By the way, I'm just wondering who called up Bharti Airtel. Take a look at that stock. Sudden huge spike coming in. I don't know if this is some fresh buying. Maybe someone's just covering their negative positions on the stock. Let's pull up intraday on Bharti. There's a big move on that stock that is underway as we speak. Let's see if it's showing up. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely, well, interesting to say the least. But Prakash, I won't ask you about Bharti. I will ask you about cement actually. The rally kind of then went into a bit of a lull, and now it seems to be, the interest seems to be coming back. Yeah. What do you buy? Which geography do you buy? Which stock do you buy if you're looking to add to your portfolio?
No, absolutely. So I agree with what Rahul is talking about. Ultratech continuing to come back of sorts as an attractive play. But the reasons for cement to have kind of lost some mojo was two things. One was the input cost went up. Okay, so all that stuff that you were importing and coke costs and stuff, fuel costs, that was high. The second thing was the demand side typically remains tepid during the monsoon season. Now that we are getting out of it, and we are out of the monsoon season, and more so Kerala is out of it, there's a lot of rebuilding and reconstruction that's going to happen. One of the largest players in that market has already announced the likelihood of a price hike, which they're going to take. But I'm talking about Ramco Cement, which is by virtue of the kind of market share they have in Kerala, is very well poised to take advantage of that. So any rebuilding activity, particularly civic utilities and infrastructure predicated by the government's spending, is going to lead to a cement offtake for sure. So I think that's a very good theme. You can be secure about, say, whether rest of the country the activity picks up or not. Kerala, it will pick up. There's enough of a delta that gets created. So by Ramco, I think that's a good company in the right spot.
Okay, by the way, the market is just soaring now, up almost 400 points on the Sensex. The Nifty has crossed that 11,500 mark, and just look at the move in the last 5-10 minutes. It's a sharp surge that we've seen, and all of this on very high cash market volumes. So the volumes are almost 30,000 crores. If this is only a short covering rally, then it's a really powerful one at that. But let's find out what's on the market's mind, right? Ahead of the Prime Minister's crucial meeting tomorrow, there is a preliminary meeting we understand today, that's this evening. Sapna Das joins in to give us more details on that. Sapna, what should we expect from the meeting this evening?
Well, actually nothing much, because this is just a kind of a preparatory run-up to the main event which will unfold tomorrow. We are given to understand that that meeting is around 4:30 tomorrow, called by the PM himself. So for today, I don't think we should be in the sense, expecting something to be announced. And in fact, for tomorrow's meeting also, the sense is that, given the statements that have come from the government in the last 2 to 3 odd days, and they are strong statements, unless it's a very pressing requirement, I don't think, any measure is going to be announced immediately, though, of course, it's a serious level, it's a serious review, so one should be prepared. There could be something immediately, there could be something work in progress, is a sense that we have been given. But, this is a totally political call. So you have to really wait and watch and see how things pan out. Very difficult to say anything in advance and, indicate that this is how the government is going to function. I mean, this is what may happen, or this is what government will do. We know broadly what the issues are, and if you look at the way the rupee seems to have stabilized in the last 2 to 3 sessions, it's a wait-and-watch situation, and I'm sure that at some level, discussions with the RBI are also part of the entire gamut of things. So today is the prep meet, and stock taking, the reviews, in fact, the inputs have been coming in during the last 2 to 3 odd days. So putting this together, meeting up today, and then preparing for the finale tomorrow, 4:30, given to understand as of now. And then wait for Monday onwards. If there's something very urgent, I'm sure the government will come out with a press release.
Sure. Okay. All right, Sapna. Let's see. Well, the market is latching on to hopes. 150 points up. This is looking more and more powerful, as Sonia has also pointed out. 11,520 is almost here, and the mid-cap rally is also gathering more momentum. Prakash, sort of a more thematic question. I mean, so we don't know. The thing is, we have absolutely no way of guessing what do we come back to on Monday. Yeah. Whether there's something dramatic on currency or not, or any other, imports, or maybe there's, any government has said that they're not tinkering on excise duties on crude, for that matter, at least right now. But just looking at the market's positioning, if you're saying, incremental buying, should you just hold on till next week, Monday, Tuesday? And on sugar, maybe. I'm looking at sugar stocks. Let's get them back, because the buyers have queued in again. The circuit had opened, and circuit is now back up on stocks like Dwarikage, Hampur, etc. Bajaj Hindustan is back on 20%. So it's just telling you the kind of exuberance that seems to be there in the market now, right?
Yeah. So this is typically the behavior of a market that hasn't bought quite a few things since a long time. So when you go out shopping, you do it with this gusto and want to buy whatever is available. Sugar has suddenly become a theme that everybody is centered onto, and then as Mr. Tulsiani explaining, people haven't really done the math in terms of who benefits out of this. And even if ethanol prices were to be at $57, by the time most of these players set up capacities, do the capex and start taking advantage of that, it's going to be a few months, 8-9 months maybe. So, and by that time, what happens to the government policy, what happens to crude is a different question. So you are running too many risks, just buying sugar on the basis of the ethanol, catalyst. So I think you need to, people need to realize that please buy things which are political proof, which are dollar proof, which are crude proof, not just get into something which is actually behaving because there's some respite. This is not respite. 20% move in some of these companies that they're nowhere close to making ethanol. It's just because they're in the sector. Yeah. So, and there are lots of, connotations attached to this ethanol policy. Some of this could be quasi-political, quasi-economic. And at the end of the day, all that money is going to go to pay the arrears for the farmers. So if you were to buy something out of this news flow, it has to be consumption goods which farmers are going to end up spending on. They are the guys who are going to be left with the money end of the day. So there's much more. And yeah, Monday morning, I wouldn't buy into the market with, you know, with this exuberance. You were waiting for 11,500, and then that's been crossed with such you know, this thing confidence. But the market's probably waiting for some good news, too much of good news. It's an expectation rally. It could fizzle out a bit, but then keep on looking for value, and I'm sure you will find.
Okay, well, keep on looking for value. You may just find it. That's the word coming in. Prakash, thanks a lot for joining us and giving us your views. Have a good weekend. For now, another key thing that we're going to watch out for. I know all the limelight is going to be hogged by the Prime Minister's meeting and, you know, the preliminary meeting today. But there's another one. The Cabinet Secretary-led High-Level Empowered Committee meets once again. Today, it has been constituted by the Prime Minister to revive stressed thermal power projects. Anisha is here to give us the key points of discussion. Anisha, we know all the problems that the power sector is facing, but what could be the discussion points at this meeting?
Well, clearly the corridors in Delhi will all be abuzz with all these important meetings, but as you said, this one is an important meeting to track. Now, this is the second time that this high-level committee is meeting to discuss the woes of the power sector. Interesting to see whether RBI will attend this one, because remember, in the first meeting they had sat out. Other than that, we are expecting representatives from Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Power, the Finance Ministry, as well as the lenders. Now, as you mentioned, we are aware of the problems, but the expectation is that the committee will discuss the framework and the contours of the resolution plan that has been decided, whether it is Samadhan or Parivartan. They will look at any updates in terms of the resolution that has happened or is in the pipeline. For example, Pragyaraj Power was one of the assets that was sold to Resurgent Power. So they look at these updates and formalize the framework around ARCs as well. The other important thing that they need to look at is the sector woes. Remember, when we had talked to Mr. Bhala, the Power Secretary, he had said that not only the resolution of these stressed power assets, the resolution of the entire sector is important. So they might look at the allocation policy of fuel as well as the PPAs and the tariff regulation policies. Also, do remember there is a payment mechanism that has been the call for all the private players to really get improved, and that is one thing that the committee will also look forward to. But maybe we would not hear any recommendations or solutions just today, but very important that this meeting is today, and we will keep a track regarding that for you.
Okay, all right, Anisha, thanks very much for that. By the way, get back to Bharti. The story that's coming in, it's on the wires. This is Reuters reporting, saying that, you know, this has been in the works for a while, that they will do an IPO of their Africa business. That seems to be moving forward, which is why that stock is getting more and more excited now. Reuters is quoting a couple of bankers, UBS, JP Morgan, Citi, who have been pulled in. And it seems it's going to be a London listing. It was always a question of whether they'll do this in South Africa or whether they'll do it in London. Look at that massive bar on Bharti Airtel. The earlier, from what, if my memory serves me right, the earlier talk was to do, an IPO worth almost $1.5 billion. Those were the kind of numbers that were doing the rounds earlier. Well, Bharti, as of now, has not offered any specific comment to this Reuters report. Yeah, they're saying that the overall business, there could be a listing. We don't know how much equity they will be looking to dilute immediately at this point in time. Before we take a break, let's just do a quick chart check on Bharti Airtel. Rahul, you want to take a call on this? Stock is very excited, ahead of what might be some sort of fundamental news.
See, I won't say that the medium term on this stock is negative. I think if you're looking at targets 410 to 415, that's roughly where we could go. But, you know, do we break out beyond that and get into something biggish on the upside? I don't reckon that's going to happen. I'm still not really long-term positive on the stock. But yes, short-term, we can see that surge to about 410.15.
Okay, well, in February, remember, Bharti had said that the holding company for its Africa operations was looking at a potential IPO, and the appointment of banks for a London listing is a sign that the process is progressing now. So the market knew in the month of February that they are looking for a potential IPO for its Africa operations. But for now, some more news flow picking up on that ground. Let's on that story rather. Right now is Bharti Airtel. Reports indicating that Bharti Airtel has picked out banks for the London listing of their Africa business. So, according to some news reports, Bharti Airtel has chosen UBS, JP Morgan and Citi to coordinate the London IPO of the Africa business. Naveen Kulkarni joins in. He tracks this entire space. Naveen, you know, the IPO of the African unit is a part of the company's stated strategy to deleverage. It's something that they mentioned in the conference call as well. So this is something that the street knows about. But now I guess we're getting closer and closer to the IPO. What would your own reaction be, and you know, what kind of valuations are we looking at? I mean, we do know that the company has turned around the Africa business, so it's sort of you know, in the black now. But what kind of valuations would we be looking at here?
Yeah, so Africa business has seen a consistent uptrend in the last 4 to 5 quarters. So we could be looking at an EBITDA run rate of closer to around $1.3, $1.4 billion. And on top of that, if we are to give a multiple of 6 to 7, we could be looking at a valuation closer to $8 billion for the entity. That's what back of the envelope calculations at this point will suggest.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So $8 billion is the sort of, roughly the sort of value that maybe you're saying this business could fetch. Now, Naveen, obviously, one of the main reasons why Bharti would want to do it is to sort of deleverage the balance sheet, get it a little easier now. We don't know how much they would want to sell, but in terms of its overall strategic thinking, making the you know, the balance sheet lighter, how much would you want them to, let's say, sell? What would be a sort of a good strategy here?
See, what happens is that once they list the company, that will always give them options to monetize the asset as and when required. So if you see, Bharti Infratel was listed where they probably initially sold a smaller amount, and in due course of time, whenever there was a need to deleverage the balance sheet, when they were getting stressed on cash flows, so they kept selling chunks of the business. So that essentially will be the idea even with Africa listing. So it essentially gives them more options to raise money in the future. I think that is the key.
Okay, more options to raise money. What about your views on the stock itself, just before we let you go? I mean, today the stock is gaining quite a bit of ground, but if you look at it for the full year, it's still down almost 30%. Would you be hopeful?
So, main, I would say, driver for the stock will be the pricing component. So if pricing power were to come back in the sector, then the stock will start seeing re-rating, which as of now is eluding. Probably in 3 to 6 months time frame, if pricing power comes back, then the stock can re-rate very, very quickly.
Okay, Naveen, we'll let it be for now. Let's see, let's wait for some more details to emerge. Thanks very much for a quick hit on Bharti Airtel. So Naveen saying the business could be valued at about $8 billion, and let's see how much they sell. Devang Mehta, head of equity advisory at Centrum, is also with us. Devang, Bharti is the stock of the moment, 3% up. What would you do with it, and what's your call?
Good afternoon, Surbhi. Thanks for having me on the show. I think clearly what we have seen across the telecom stocks, particularly both Bharti Airtel and Idea, both the incumbents sort of losing market share, as well as Vodafone losing market share, plus the pricing power loss and the competitive intensity that we have seen in the sector has kept all such stocks or all such businesses, in fact, on the tenterhooks. So my sense is that, of course, there will be relief rallies in between where such set of news will come, and it's very important for these companies to deleverage themselves, and this provides an opportunity to raise some level of cash and also utilize it in a prudent way, or to reduce debt rather. So I think it's just a small positive, but on a sector per se, I think because of the competitive intensity, I would sort of avoid this type of businesses.
Okay, would avoid this kind of a business. Yes, even Naveen was telling us that, you know, pricing power needs to return at least to some extent for some of these players. Only then you can take a call whether to buy or not. But let's get an insight into what's happening in the dealing rooms, because we've had 2 really good days. The market is going to end at the high point. Nimesh is here. Nimesh, is it just about a short covering that we're seeing, or are people really pinning their hopes on that meeting tomorrow?
Well, there is a hope for something to come out very strongly in that meeting tomorrow. But clearly, Sonia, for the last 2 days, what we are seeing is a pure short covering rally. You know, the markets look technically a little oversold, and probably they're pulling back from those levels. So tomorrow's meeting will be crucial. The rupee move post that meeting tomorrow will be very crucial to watch out for. We have seen a bit of a slip from the highs of 72.90 all the way back to sub 72 levels on the rupee. So that's something which is soothing some investors. But from a flow point of view or from an FII point of view, the FII investors have seen this rally as an opportunity to sell. We saw a very large sell number yesterday, and that seems to be the trend today as well. So from an FII perspective, this rally is getting sold into. What is helping the market is clearly the domestic flows. If that continues, probably we'll see a bit of a relief rally to continue. But again, as I said, it's a pure short covering rally which is playing out. Whether it's NBFCs, whether it's banks, it's typically those sectors have pulled back from the oversold zone. The sector which seems to be in limelight is the sugar stocks. Everything is going up in today's trade. I guess it's helping because of some relief in the international market as well in terms of sugar prices. So that sector is in a sweet spot, so to speak. But broadly from a market point of view, the sense I'm getting is maybe 100 points on the Nifty from here on, maybe another 300 points on the bank Nifty from here on. But post the short covering pullback, you need to see FII support, which seems to be lacking. So a bit of caution out there from the dealing rooms. And of course, this meeting tomorrow will be very crucial, both from a macro point of view and from the rupee move point of view.
Absolutely. Let's see what comes out of that one. There's another interesting development within the Godrej group. So let's just point that out as well. Godrej Agrovet is going to be merging Aztec Life Sciences with itself. And the ratio that's been put out is that Agrovet is going to be allotting 11 equity shares for 10 shares held by the shareholders in Aztec. And as Mangalam points out, just a quick run through of the math, that's still a big gap because we're talking 6,490 as per the ratio. And on the Aztec side, 10 shares, 615 into 10, that's 6,150. There's still a big arbitrage gap that seems to be playing out between these two shares at this point in time. Devang, your thoughts? I don't know if you track Godrej Agrovet or not. Otherwise, overall, any picks in the FMCG universe?
I think, yes, clearly we do not have a coverage on Godrej Agrovet or Aztec, the stocks that are in question right now. But FMCG post a couple of brokerage reports and what we saw in the last 6-7 days, there has been a sharp correction amongst the discretionary as well as the non-discretionary ones. I think clearly these are buying opportunities. Just a sell-off because of a healthy profit booking should not be a reason to just get out or exit this types of businesses. Just to give an example, something like an Godrej Consumer, something like Dabur, if I can count them as FMCG, and something like even a Havells, which is a fast-moving electrical goods. Without recommendation, I can say these are some of the extraordinary businesses which have been doing well. They have shown good bit of numbers, very good volume growth amongst Dabur as well as Godrej Consumer and all. So I think these are the types of businesses, FMCG businesses, which will keep on growing as the consumption boom again starts, and the next 2-3 quarter numbers would be amazing for all these types of companies.
Okay, all right. We just have a minute left before the market closes. So let's do one thing. Let's do a quick run through of how the day has shaped up and how the week has shaped up. And then we'll come back to you, gentlemen, for some final comments. Today has been a really good day for the bulls. No two ways about that. Not once during the day was there any kind of major profit taking. The Nifty Bank closes at the highest point. The Nifty closes well above 11,500. And it was led by a motley bunch of stocks. So you had the oil marketing companies at top of the list, BPCL, HPCL, IOC, with the way crude has fallen. You had the NBFCs, the India Bulls Housing Finance, Bajaj Finserv. It is purely short covering for some of these stocks, like India Bulls Housing Finance, for example, had fallen quite a bit. So now the last 2 or 3 days have been really good for it. Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Finance, all doing pretty well. Metal stocks like Vedanta, Hindalco close with handsome gains this afternoon, and you have the telecom stocks like Bharti Airtel, news-based stories there. Buzz of the Africa business IPO getting louder. You have some of these banking names like Yes Bank, etc., that also did pretty well in trade. On the downside, just some minor profit taking in IT names like HCL Tech, Infosys, etc. Coal India as well, just minor profit taking there. Otherwise, Surbhi, it was a really good day for the frontliners, and the mid-caps actually did better today.
Oh, absolutely. The mid-cap index, Sonia, is almost 350 points higher. And you know what? I can't remember the last time I saw sugar stocks doing what they have done today. The news is out, and yet the buying continued. Dwarikesh, Dalmia Bharat, Dhampur. I mean, any stock that had the word sugar on it was just up and about, which is why it also makes you a little circumspect. I mean, Andhra Sugar, Shakti Sugar, doesn't matter. Triveni Engineering, Renuka, Balrampur, you name it. I mean, there's a massive, massive rally that's underway. How long it lasts is the big question. Anyway, moving beyond. Good buying on a fact today. Among the fertilizer universe, 11% up on that stock. Granules did fairly well for itself. Actually, Walkhard, Granules, some of these mid-cap pharma stocks found quite a few takers. Markson's Pharma was up and about as well. Divi's Lab has managed about 4.5%. And Spark itself started the morning with that good news on a drug approval from Halol. Spark is up about 4.5% as we're rounding up the day. What else worked today? ICICI Pru has seen a 4% up move, 4.5% actually. We've seen some buying on a JSPL, buying on Adani Power. Edelweiss has seen a 4% up move today. So interesting plays coming through. Hindustan Zinc, Apollo Tyres. So just gives you a sense of the kind of diverse nature of today's mid-cap rally. Tata Global is up about 5% thereabouts. EIL, with that company that they've purchased, a PSU company, markets seem to be giving its thumbs up, 6% up on that stock as well. So quite a few of those big moves coming through. On the losing side, not too many stocks to count in, but maybe you can look at an Ashoka Buildcon. I mean, that's quite a nasty cut on a day like today. 5% down on Ashoka Buildcon. We've seen some weakness continue on the ILNFS group stocks. So ILNFS Investment Managers and ITNL. The concerns there are still very, very apparent. So these were some of the stocks that were slightly weak. But otherwise, I mean, all in all, it's been a pretty decent day and far more gainers than losers on the mid-cap side today.
Oh, absolutely. But I guess everyone's going to talk about or start talking about the event tomorrow,
Weekend.
right? Weekend, hectic weekend, lots of work for, especially for, the business channels to cover what's going to happen tomorrow. Devang, from an investor standpoint, we've asked this question through the day, and the answer that we've got is tomorrow's event really doesn't matter because all it could be is a macroeconomic review from the Prime Minister and nothing more than that. Would you concur with that, expectation?
I think, yes, we should not go into that event thinking about that something windfall will come out of it. Of course, we know what is the macro situation, and it is just an analysis of that situation, and maybe how can one come out of it in a different way. I think market, there is clearly a double type of talk that is going on in the markets, that some of those are expecting that there is some radical measures which will be taken, which could probably hurt the economy. But I think it's actually foolish to expect anything that will come out and impact the markets in a big way. So my sense is just hold on to your good stocks, good businesses. Anyways, they are going to do better. Just avoid the short-term noise and volatility if you can.
Okay. All right, Prakash and Rahul, let's take quick final thoughts with you. So Prakash, looking at this big recovery, we've had two big days on the market. How would you look at Monday? And of course, there's this big event also, possible news flow of the weekend.
I feel so far looks good. What we have seen is a gap up open and the gap is maintained. There's a short squeeze out here. We are basically saying that nothing may not come out of it. What if something comes out of it? Well, we'll see a bang up move. An up move could last to around 5. Target that I had in the morning was 516. I think it'll go past that to 545 to even 590 zones. Who knows where it goes? But that's a place, some resistance is there on 585, 590 zones.
Okay, and Rahul, same question to you. How do you evaluate the market setup at the moment?
I kind of agree with Prakash there that we might push to close to 10,600 odd levels, but we've got to even recall last Friday too. We did exactly this. We had a fantastic close on Friday, and then the following week we just had a sharp correction. So we've also got the 10,580 to 10,600 belt as strong resistance. We can't really jump out and say that we've totally this is beyond anything but short covering. Just to share with you, for example, say a stock like Maruti or SBI or Reliance. I mean, we can't really read much into this other than short covering or sideways price action. So I'm not really jumping to the conclusion that we're once again set up to see new highs in the very immediate term. We need to wait and watch where 10,600 is dealt with. We get past it, I think we...
Closing bell now, even as we're looking at record high petrol and diesel prices, one company in question is looking at going green, looking at electric vehicles, and I'm talking about Gati. They are planning to go green for their logistics and transport business. Let's find out more. We have Nitya joining in with all the details. Nitya.
Absolutely. Given the rollout of BTST and rising fuel prices, like you mentioned, Gati is looking at going green, and we're given to understand after such a pilot project of e-autos for IKEA delivery here in Hyderabad. They're looking at implementing very similar pilots across New Delhi and top metros. Of course, any foray into electric vehicles, we understand, will be in a phased manner. What we're given to understand is they are in contact with OEMs and the likes of Tata Motors, Mahindra & Mahindra, Ashok Leyland to look at e-cargo vehicles. Gati has categorically indicated it does not just want to be a consumer of these vehicles, but also wants to participate in development of EV infrastructure, after-sales service and support and the like. We did talk to Gati, and though they refused to comment on official plans in the pipeline, they've categorically indicated they will be looking at adding electric cargo vehicles to their fleet across the country. Intracity pilots first, after which intercity transport in electric vehicles of goods is what they're planning. Remember, they're also indicating that the government, central and state government incentives on this will actually help companies like themselves change to electric mobility in the future. And what we're given to understand is very soon it'll be Delhi NCR that sees a pilot of Gati's EV model.